Hello, everybody. Good morning, dear children. Today I'm going to teach you Percy by Shelley's poem Ode to the West Wind. Now, Shelley was a romantic poet. Wordsworth was known as the father of romantic poetry, but Shelley was a revolutionary poet, a revolutionary romantic poet. He was born on 4th August 1792 in Sussex, and he was educated at Sion's House and Eton. But his revolutionary ideas were not appreciated by any of these institutions. Later on, he got admission in the University of Oxford, but after a year, he was expelled from there also. And his father had also expelled him from his house because of his revolutionary ideas. Now, Shelley wanted to bring about a change in life. He saw the demarcation and the disparity between the rich and the lower class, the poor class. And he did not like it at all. And he wanted to bring about this change in the society, in the social existing order. And naturally, an individual person cannot go from house to house and exchange and relate his own ideas to the public and ask people to join hands with him. But later on, he realized that the only possible way of bringing about this change is through his poems. So, Ode to the West Wind is an invocation to God, where he is trying to invoke the wild west wind. Wild west wind, which is known by the name of Zephyrs, it's a Greek goddesses which signifies the gentle west wind, and it blows gently during the season of autumn. He wanted to bring about a change in the lifestyle of the people through this wild west wind. And in fact, in this particular poem, the wild west wind is the voice of the poet, which he wants the people to hear. And through this lyrical voice, he's attempting, in the face of tempestuous wind, to affirm his creativity. And as an ode, it begins as an invocation with an elevated address because he says, "O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being." And why he says the breath of autumn's being? Because that is the very life it blows during the autumn season. And as you all know, amongst all the four seasons, autumn season is the fall season. And during this time, everything is ripe and is becoming gray and being fallen. And then it gives, or rather paves the way for the growth of a new life. So this wild west wind, in the first stanza, in the this is an ode. An ode, as you all know, is an elevated form of poetry in which deals with the serious subjects, and it is written in an elevated style. And through this, and he's taking the symbolic reference of leaves. And leaves, have a symbolic reference, whether it is a material pursuit of life or whether it is a spiritual pursuit of life. And through this driving away of these dead leaves, he is paving the way in the first stanza to, you can say, paving a new bed for a new creation. So the first stanza symbolizes both creation and destruction. Destruction in the sense that just as the wind blows, and with the blowing of the wind, all the dead leaves are carried away from their bed, and the bed is made clear, the ground is made clear for the sowing of the new seeds. And with the sowing of the new seeds, naturally, these seeds will grow, will sprout, and bring a new life. So the first stanza seems to be the procreation and the destruction. So he says, "O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the dead leaves are driven like ghosts from an enchanter fleeing." That is, dead leaves are being carried away, just as a ghost is flying away behind the magic of the enchanter. That magician is running after the ghost and the ghost is flying away. So these dead leaves are also symbolically running away. You can say it's a personification, it's being personified, that the dead leaves are being removed from their beds with the like the ghost from the enchanter fleeing. And these dead leaves, they are yellow and black and pale and hectic red. That is when the leaves dry up. They do not have their lively green color, the bright green color, but they fade away into the color of brown, red, and black. And they look as if they are pestilence stricken, as if they are struck by some disease, some plague, or something. And in multitudes, not in one single, not it is not the one single leaf that is being carried away, but the leaves are carried in multitudes. That is, in uniformity, the whole bunch of leaves are being carried away by the wind. And then he tells, O thou who charitest to their dark wintry bed, the winged seeds where they lie cold. And he calls it dark wintry bed because winter is the season, when everything is passive, when everything is lying underground and there is absolutely no growth. So it is the cold. And it is lying these seeds which are lying low and cold during the winter season. Naturally, they do not get the chance to sprout, to bring new life. But with the passing of the winter season, spring arrives. And spring is the time of new growth, new life, because the snow starts melting and it paves the way and the sun starts coming out. So, with the coming out of the sun and with the warm sunshine and the, you can say, the melting of the snow, these seeds which are lying buried in the cold and wintry beds, they get a chance to sprout and grow up into new seeds. So, thine sister as your sister, that is why he says, thine as your sister of the spring shall blow her clarion over the dreaming earth. That is when spring will come. That is when spring will announce her arrival. Naturally, it will fill the sweet buds like flocks of to feed in the air with living hues and odors plain and hill. So naturally, with the arrival of the spring season, it will fill it will make the seeds sprout, giving new color, new life to these plants. And therefore, he says, O wild wind, which art thou moving everywhere, destroyer and preserver. So, see, the first stanza says that it signifies the purpose of the west wind as a destroyer and preserver. Destroyer, that is, it is taking away, carrying away the dead leaves, and preserver, because it is preserving those seeds that are lying buried in the wintry beds during the winter season and giving a new life, recreating a new life for the coming season. And the second stanza, of course, is talking about the destructive power of the west wind, because he says, Thou on whose stream mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean. Now you see, how are the clouds formed? Clouds are formed when the hot air rises and it collects in the sky as a form in the form of clouds, and then with condensation there are raindrops. So these clouds, like the dead leaves, say that these vapors which are rising and spread out like clouds, which are hanging loose in the sky, and these clouds are the angels of rain and lightning. They bring thunderstorms and they also bring tempests as well as rainfall. So these clouds, they are spread out on the blue surface of airy surface that is in the sky, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce maniac. That is, the loose clouds that are spread out in the sky are being symbolically represented like the hair let loose, fierce hair of the maniac, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's eyes. That is, and these clouds, that is, if you look from a distance, you'll find that these clouds are not at one particular place. That from horizon, that is from the earth to the sky. That is, if you look at the horizon, that these clouds are as if lying and spread out from the earth to the sky, he says, and like the locks of approaching storms. And when you look at those clouds in the sky, naturally you are filled with awe and terror because they are signifying the approach or the arrival of storm in life, tempest in life. So this is you. These clouds are like the dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of vast sepulchre. That is, the whole sky is like a dome, and vaulted with all thy congregation, that is covered with, filled with, them congregated, that the collected might of these clouds, which are going to bring rain and thunderstorms. And when these vapors, they will come down in the form of rain, when they will come down in the form of showers, naturally this black rain and fire and hail, which will be bursting upon the earth, is going to bring destruction in life. So the west wind has the power to spread the vapors in the form of clouds in the sky, which are spread like a dome over the vast sepulchre, that is the vast sky, and their condensation is going to bring black rain and fire and hailstorms, which is the having the power of destruction in life. So that is another important aspect of the or the power of the west wind to which the poet is invoking. The poet Shelley is invoking to the power of the west wind in the first stanza as a preserver and a destructor. And in the second stanza, he is talking about the destructive power of the west wind. Now, in the third stanza, he is talking about the power of tranquility. That is, the west wind does not only have the power of destruction and preservation, but it also provides peacefulness. So, as the west wind blows through the waves of the sea, naturally, tranquilly, how it passes. So, all the vegetation that is lying underground, the palaces, and the buildings that are buried underneath the waves of the water, they also tend to shimmer. They also tend to quake with the powers. They tremor with the passing of the west wind beneath the surface of the sea. But the passing of the west wind is providing tranquility, peacefulness. It is not causing any destruction at that particular time. So that is why in the third stanza says, "Thou who didst waken from his summer dreams the blue Mediterranean," that is the reference to the Mediterranean Sea, "where he lay lulled by the coil of its crystalline streams, besides the pumice isles and bays way." So that all the vegetation, the green vegetation that is oozing out of that amongst the sea waves, they are lulled, they are lying asleep, they are lying buried with and they are only shimmering with when the tremors of the west wind pass through the waters. So quivering within the waves in tenter's day, all overgrown with azure moss and flowers so sweet, the sense faints picturing them, and the fragrance that is that as the west wind is passing through them, the incense, the sense, the fragrance that is emanating is so sweet, he says. And therefore, thou for whose path the Atlantic level powers cleave themselves into chasms. But at the same time, when the west wind is in its tempestuous state, in its forceful state, then it can also cause upheavals underneath the water also. It can cause the waves to rise like tides in the waters, and while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods which wear the sapless foliage of the ocean, no, but the foliage, that is the vegetation that is lying buried underneath, also know the tempestuous nature of the west wind. While it is passing in tranquility, it gives peace and harmony to the environment and to the people. But when it is in its bad mood, then it can create a chaos. So thy voice to it is to this voice of the west wind that suddenly grows grave with fear because of its tempestuous nature, and because it makes people tremble and despoil. That it is not only the people who tremble and despoil themselves, but it is the vegetation, the buildings, the palaces that are lying buried under the waves of the sea. They also tremble, they also quiver, they also shake. So if it can cause disturbance in nature, that disturbance's nature is symbolic also of the tremors and the disturbance that is there in the mind of the man. And in the fourth stanza, which is a very, very important, because see, these three stanzas, the first and the second and the third, are objective because they are talking about the powers of the west wind. But the fourth stanza, the poet becomes subjective because he's relating his own self to the powers of the west wind, and he's invoking to these powers. He says, "If I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear. If I were a swift cloud, to fly with thee, a wave to pant beneath that power, and share the impulse of that strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable." So he says, I want to be like them. I want to be like the dead leaves so that you can carry me from one place to the other. I want to be the swift cloud that can fly from place to place. And I want to be the wave that is panting under the power of your strength inside the waters. He says, I want to get that strength from you, the impulse of your strength, that uncontrollable strength, your power, because with as you are able to move these things in nature, I want the west wind also to move my words. my thoughts, my revolutionary ideas in the universe, because he says, if even in my boyhood I could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as then when to outstrip the sky's speed scarce seemed a vision, I would never have striven as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. And he says, when if I would have been a small boy, then I would have been flying with you, with your speed, with your force, I would have flown from place to place to carry my words. But now I am not in my boyhood stage. I am not in my childhood stage. So all those thoughts of running freely, swiftly has become a vision for me. Become an imagination for me. But at present, I am in sore need, in dire need, and I'm praying, imploring to you, what? Oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. Now, these are two lines are very, very important and very, very significant lines of O to the West Wind, because yes, oh, lift me like a wave, a leaf, a cloud. That means lift me. Think of me also, either like a dead leaf or like a cloud let loose in the sky, or a wave panting beneath the waters of the sea. Lift me, because I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. That is, I am suffering. And I am being tormented because I'm not being able to carry my revolutionary ideas around the universe. So, if only your powers can help me to carry my ideas and spread my ideas through the universe, I can bring about a change. Because it says, a heavy weight of ours is chained and bowed, one too like thee, tameless and swift and proud. Because a heavy weight of it, because all the problems, the tribulations, the trials of life have burdened my heart, my mind, my soul. And therefore, I, in the beginning, like a child, like in my boyhood days, I was tameless, I was swift, I was proud, and I thought I could carry anything around the world. But now I am tied down by my responsibilities, by my limitations, and I'm not able to do my work as I wish to do. And the last stanza is, of course, a very, very, a stanza which brings hope in the life of the poet, because he says, make me thy lyre. That is, I want to be that instrument that can be made out of using the sticks of the forest, the little stems of the forest. What if my leaves are falling? He says. That is, what if I have entered into the sphere of my life? If I do not have that strength, if I am not as tameless and as swift and proud like in my childhood, what if my leaves are falling? The tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone, that is, the tumult, the disturbance of your mighty harmonies, that great harmonious blend of unity that is there in your strength, he says, I will take autumnal tone, that is the sad tone. Why autumnal and sad tone? Because at present I am not able to infuse and spread my ideas. So that is the sad part. That is the autumn part, the dormant and grave part of my life. But sweet though in sadness, that जैसे कहा जाता है कि sweet are the uses of adversities. So in the same way, at present my time is in an adverse state. It's not in a happy state because I'm not able to invoke my ideas or spread my ideas. But if I pray to the powers of the west wind, then in spite of this deep autumnal tone, at least I have a hope that this is going to be sweet, even though in sadness. So, why it will be sweet? Because you, be thou spirit fierce, my spirit. Because I want the power of the west wind to be my spirit. That is, and be thou me impetuous one. That is, that unruly one, the forceful one, the outrageous one, which the best win is. I want you to be, I want rather myself to be, to have that fiery spirit within me. I want to be as impetuous like you, and with your help drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth. How nicely he says, drive my dead thoughts, that is my dormant thoughts, passive thoughts that are lying dead and buried, जो अभी तक नीचे buried हैं, which are not alive, जो अभी तक लोगों ने जाना नहीं है, देखा नहीं है, सुना नहीं है, which are dead in a sense, in a remote form, you can say they are dead. But I want you to drive away, just as you drive away the dead leaves, during the autumn season and pave the ground for the new leaves. In the same way, drive away my dead thoughts and pave the way for the birth of new leaves, regenerate new life into the universe, bring for quicken a new birth, and by the incantation of this word, that is by the recitation of this word, incantation, that is by the prayers that I'm invoking in this verse, in through my words in this particular poem, scatter as from an unextinguished hearth ashes and spark, just as the fire which is burning, which has not died out, it is unextinguished, it has not died out. So the even a spark of our ash can spread like fire. And just in the same way, those ashes and sparks that you will find from the unextinguished fires can inflame and alight a new fire. In the same way, my dead thoughts, which at present are lying buried, can infuse new ideas, new hope, can bring about a revolution in life. So spread my words among mankind. Be through my lips to unawakened earth. That is my lips. I cannot go from house to house. I cannot recite my woes, my desire to the public. But you, West Wind, I'm praying to you that through my lips, you be the power. He says to awaken this unawakened earth, that is this earth or this universe which is lying buried and which is not yet alighted with the ideas of bringing about a change in the social order of the times. At least through you I can blow this trumpet of a prophecy, that is you be the trumpet of a prophecy, that is the harbinger of a new life, a new hope. Because, O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? This last line of the poem has become a maxim, a proverb. And you must have heard, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? That is, the season, in fluxes, changes from time to time. The summer will come, autumn will come, winter will come, and then spring will come. So, like night comes, it is followed by the dawn of a new day, new life, new hope. In the same way, with the passing of the winter, there is going to be the arrival of spring, new dawn, new life, and a resurrection of the world with new ideas in order to bring about a social change. So this power of the west wind is what the poet is praying to. I hope I've been able to make you understand. If you like it, then please agree. Thank you.